Well, hello, welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here to hear about Leadership Grand Strand and learn a little bit more about a program that we all love so very much. My name, if you'll flip to the next slide, is Diana Green. I'm the executive director for the program. Just a little bit about me. I'm a diehard Gamecock, even though I know that's a hard thing to be right now. But I believe that when you have your team, you stick with your team no matter what. I worked at the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce now for almost 21 years in various capacities. I'm currently the Chief of Administration. I've been with Leadership Grand Strand now. This is my 17th year with the program, and I've enjoyed it. I went through class 25 myself, and then the following year, I was fortunate enough to be hired as their executive director. So I've been with the program, I guess, actually 18 years if you count the year I went through it. I'm a certified nerd. I love it. So any of you that are out there, may the 4th be with you. And if you know what I'm talking about, you are my people. If you don't, look it up. You'll find out what I'm talking about. But if you ever want to talk about, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Star Wars, I'm your girl. So, that and all the Marvel universe. So anyway, that's me. And I love to travel. So one of the things that I love to do the most is my family and I always try and take as many trips as we can, whether it's something like going down and nerding out in Harry Potter world at Universal or going overseas. We absolutely love it. And that's something that I sort of live for as far as it goes. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Now onward, let's learn a little bit more about the program. We are a program of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. This is the second oldest leadership program in the state of South Carolina. Does anybody have any idea what the oldest program in the state is? If you know, just feel free to jump in, or if you have a guess. I don't see any. Well, believe it or not, it is Leadership South Carolina is actually the oldest program. Our founder, Bill Pritchard, went to that program, loved it, and said, this is amazing. I'm learning so much. Why can't we do this at a local level as well? Came back and talked with the wonderful Ann DeBach, who worked here at the chamber at the time, and they together created Leadership Grand Strand. And I have to give them kudos because it's now in its 42nd year. It's got some great staying power there. And the program is great. It changes every year and updates. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We do have over 1,100 graduates, which is very exciting because as you're out and about in the Grand Strand, one of the things I frequently find are people are very proud of, they've got their LGS certificate up in their office, or they will immediately, as soon as you say, hey, LGS, sir, and they'll be like, 30 fun, we're 25, and they're just diehards for it. So it's so much fun, and having the graduates and getting them involved and through the Alumni Association has been a blast. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. We are managed by a 16-member board of regents. What's great about the board is all of them are past class members. Each year, the class elects 3 people to come onto the board. And so they actually bring that fresh perspective of the folks that have just gone through it. But what's nice too is we have the history then of people that have been involved with the program for several years and have now sit on the other side of it, on the board side. And we have also at-large elections. So frequently we will get someone who comes back and gets involved in the program who perhaps was from an earlier class, a 22 or something like that, which is wonderful because then they also bring back all of that experience and history they have and combine it with what's happening and what's new in the class. So our Board of Regents is extremely active, and it's one of those working boards. So when folks get involved with our board, they're going to be doing something. If I could have the next slide, please. Now we have 5 objectives when the program was started, and to be honest with you, we tweaked them a bit here and there, but they really stand the test of time. We really want to get people who are interested in being involved in the community, who want to make a difference. And so a lot of this is about teaching the people that go through the program the skills to know how to be better leaders, whether that be at work, whether that be at home, whether that be out as they're volunteering. We want to connect them with things that are happening in the community. What are the community needs? Where do they need to be? And how can they get involved in those things? And we also really want them to understand kind of how things work. Frequently, as people go through this program, there's always some kind of aha moment. Oh man, I didn't know that worked that way. I didn't know you had to go through this many meetings before you could put up a new awning. I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And it's what's fascinating is that we actually sort of get those behind the scenes views. You get to find out how it all works, sometimes a great amount of the history of the why, And just some of the really neat things that are going on that make you really, what I found is it makes me very proud of my community. We visit the Solid Waste Authority, and that's always one that people are like, why are we going to the Solid Waste Authority? But it is a great and interesting place to go. And when you go, you come back and you're like, I had no idea. So we have a lot of those aha moments, and that's really what we're looking for when we get people involved in the program. Can I have the next slide, please? It is a 9-month course. We actually have a maximum of 33 students that we accept, and we take up to that amount, but we don't always take that many. We really look at the folks that apply for the class and try and figure out how they will all work together, you know, having a good diversity. We love a diversity of age, people, and industry, the whole 9 yards, because it always makes the class so much more interesting for them and for us. We begin in August, and we have an orientation session, and then we run all the way through May. And that actually is our closing session. In fact, we're getting ready on Thursday. Can you believe it, Eileen? Thursday, we're going to have our closing session for this class, class 41. It's hard to believe. It's hard to imagine that it's actually here. One of my favorite parts is we do a 2-day retreat in September. And as long as everything's allowed with COVID, which everything's looking really good, we'll be doing that 2-day retreat off-site. We get to a place called the Wampy Resort. And it is really neat. It's kind of a place away from everything near Monk's Corner. And you really get a chance to bond with your class members. We do lifelines. There's just so many fantastic leadership training options. And Eileen will talk more about that. But it is a really neat experience, and something that I'm really excited that we're going to be able to share with this incoming class. And then we will meet the first Thursday of every month beginning in October. So you always know if this is something you're interested in doing, look at that first Thursday. You want to look at your calendar, make sure that you can attend at least most of those. You can only have 2 absences from the program, and we do have a few mandatory days. Those include the retreat and that closing session. So it's extremely important that as you're looking through the application, look at those dates and those times and just make sure that those work for you, because we are very serious about those being mandatory. And there's a good reason for it, because we know that it really enhances your experience to be there on those particular dates. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, again, we have a lot of topics we explore. There's just so much going on in the Grand Strand. Of course, tourism is a big one, because let's face facts, we're in a tourism economy here in the Grand Strand. But we also talk about everything from economic development. We talk a lot about education, whether that be the K-12 all the way up through CCU and continuing education for adults, things along those lines. Of course, we look at law enforcement and sort of what are the intricacies of that. Human services, government and politics is a big one. The arts, and of course, leadership development, which we're going to have Eileen talk about in just a second. And then we talk about small businesses. What we really try to do, though, each year is we look at the topics. We look at what's going on in our community. What are the things we need to be talking about? So there's some things that we'll make sure we put in the program that are really just, they have to be there. You really need to learn. Like, you know, it's great when you learn from Mark Crew at the City of Myrtle Beach and you get that inner workings. He gives you great history, as well as kind of here's some of the things that we go through at the city level. What's also exciting are we look at, you know, what's happening, like downtown redevelopment is a big topic right now. So those are some things that we're focused in on. So what's neat about the program is it always changes just a bit. There's some things that we try to make sure are historically there just because we feel like you need to know. We're always looking for that next topic. What is the next thing we need to be talking about? What's important to our community? And that's what I think keeps the program fresh. And that's what's great about having a very active board of regents who are able to really bring those ideas and those fresh perspectives into us. Now, I had mentioned leadership training, and we are very fortunate because we have the best of the best who does our leadership training, and that is Miss Eileen Soyson, who has been with us now. Gosh, Eileen, is this coming up? Will this be your 8th year?
I've been doing this since class 30.
Oh my God, that long?
12 years.
We've been together a long time. She's wonderful. If you went through LGS for no other reason, just to come and hear Miss Eileen Soyson would make it all worth it as far as I'm concerned. I learned something from her every single time. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to her for a few minutes so you can advance the slide, please.
Great. Well, thank you, Diana. And I'm so excited to see so many people on this webinar who want to know more about Leadership Grand Strand. And like Diana led into, I've been teaching this since class 30, and every year it's a new class, new ideas, and I probably learn more than the class does because, like Diana said, we try to keep it as relevant as possible. So the discussions that we have are all around what's going on. So I'm excited to share what we talk about in the leadership classes here now. Next slide, please. So I'll share a little bit about who I am, and I have some animations, but I'm from Pennsylvania originally, went to Penn State, and that's a big part of who I am. Like Diana said, you're true to the school you go to. But after Penn State, I had to do an internship, and I did that with the American Hospitality Academy. So a big portion of my experience is in hospitality, and I started as an intern there, and I worked my way up to the director of training and development, and that's where I found my passion for leadership training, working with interns and getting them into those full-time positions in their careers. I worked with AHA for about 11 years and then decided it was time to start my own business. So I started the Meeting Institute to work with companies to enhance their organizational effectiveness, their customer service programs, and leadership. So I did that until my son was about 5, and that's that cute little kid you'll see in the middle of my family picture. But that's when he was 5, and when you own your own business, especially here in Myrtle, sometimes it doesn't have a lot of the clients that I was looking for here, so I had to travel. So I was traveling a lot until my son realized I was not here. I was then approached by Coastal Carolina University and was brought in there, and there I worked with Dr. DeCenzo to create Feel the Teal. And I know Sophie's on the call, so hi, Sophie. Sophie knows all about Feel the Teal, and that was a big part of my time, and I'm so glad I went to Coastal. Unfortunately, my position was eliminated with the rifts. If you're aware of how COVID really affected a lot of higher education institutions, Coastal was just like that. But I loved my time there, and it provided an opportunity for me to go back and do consulting again. So I'm doing full-time consulting, working with different organizations, helping them with leadership and customer service and organizational effectiveness. So it's a great 360. But that's just a little bit of who's going to be leading your classes. I thought you should probably know some of my credibility to know I have been doing this longer than a day. Next slide. All right. This is the curriculum that we had for last year. And keep in mind, Diana shared with you about the Board of Regents. A lot of this was put together based on the Board of Regents input. For example, years before, we never had a difficult conversation session, but the Board of Regents felt that, especially in the times of today, when we are having a lot of conflict, we should be able to talk as leaders to have difficult conversations without it ending up in disagreement. So I just want you to see, we do tweak some of the topics, but I'll go through each of them with you just so you have an idea of what you'll be learning. The retreat, I have to echo Diana, that is mind-blowing. It is amazing. 2 days that you will learn more about yourself than you ever thought. We start off with doing a self-profile assessment, just so that we can all get on the same page and understand how we can communicate better as a class. The second day is we go through the Leadership Challenge. If you haven't read that book, that's definitely a recommended reading for me that I would suggest. And we'll go through those 5 models on the second day, but we also do a lifeline where you have to come prepared to share a little bit of your past, your present, and where you see yourself going in the future. And we share that with the whole class. And there's tears, there's laughs, and there's learning. We then go in, last year we started in October with the next class, and we go over the different generations. And I'm sure you've seen the 5 generations in the workplace where you're at, and we talk about how that means as a leader and how can we communicate through the generations. In December, I try to get you to step out of your comfort zone and learn how to build your leadership brand. We work on things like a positioning statement, an elevator speech you should already have, but we tweak it so that you can get feedback from your peers. Now, some of you are probably freaking out right now thinking, did she just say public speaking? As a leader, if you want to change things, you're gonna have to speak in front of people. So we're going to do it in a safe space. Trust me, your classmates will support you and raise you up and help you. So it's a place where you can practice and get better. In February, I want to challenge you to look and see how have you done in the class so far when it comes to personal accountability. So we use the book QBQ, which is The Question Behind the Question by John G. Miller. And that book is a simple, easy read, but it is a leadership model that I really want all leaders to know so that they can get past the blame game, the excuses, and procrastination. So we'll talk about that in February. April, we'll do some difficult conversations, but I'm excited for that because next year I will be certified in crucial conversations. I'm actually doing my training certification next week. So I'm going to have so much good stuff for crucial conversations through that certification program. So I'm excited to change that one up. And then the last class is May. And if you look past my desk, this is all the classwork for Thursday. But it's a day that we kind of go back and say, what did we learn along the way? We also try to kind of count back the memories. And yes, there's more public speaking in that one, but it's a way to recap everything. I hope you see that these topics are key to your leadership development. And I don't put them in there just to be fun. I do it so that there's actually content and application that you can then apply to your workplace. Some of you are probably going to have to pitch this to your supervisor or your boss. Show them this curriculum so that they see what leadership topics you are learning. I encourage the class, and Diana can back me up here. I'll say, share this with your team at work. So you're going to learn valuable applications that you can bring back and practice your leadership skills in developing others. Next slide. So I want to give you some suggestions for those of you who are really looking to apply to this program, because like Diana said, not everyone does get into this program. So some ways that I can encourage you to get involved is leaders or readers. I want you reading. So what books do you know that have shaped you? Get involved early. Don't be the student who waits till February to make those connections. Speak up. If you get selected into this class, you got selected based on who you are, your experience, and your potential. Don't sit there and say nothing, because that's depriving the class. And now I'm not saying if you're not an extrovert, we have plenty of introverts in this program. We want you to learn how to lead where you're at. Being that we do talk about topics and opinions, we will sometimes have disagreements, but what we're going to encourage is be respectful of all opinions, experiences, and life stories. We really encourage people to share their identities and experiences. So we want you to be a part of that in an encouraging way. We want you to be vulnerable. Now, for some of you, that's probably scaring you as well, probably more than the public speaking. But as Brene Brown says, when we are vulnerable, we get to a place where we can grow. And that's what we want for all of you. Journaling. Now, my lovely class 41 that I have now is not a big fan of journaling. But I'm going to keep trying with every class, because journaling is a way to grow your mindset, to look back on what you've learned. So if any of you are journalers, I love you already. So that'll be something I encourage. Give me feedback. Sophie can tell you, I love to hear how we can get better. So just like at Coastal, I have evaluations. We have evaluations after every session. I want to hear, what can we change? What can we add? Those are things I look forward to hearing from the class. And capitalize on this opportunity to find your lane in our community. My big goal is not only do you learn all this leadership content, but that you apply it, and so that our great community benefits from that. We're actually thinking of this year, we want to track and see how many of you after you graduate LGS get connected in some way to the community. My goal is going to be 98% or better that we have graduates who find some connection through the opportunities that you are exposed to in Leadership Grand Strand. So the more involved you get, the more you make a name for yourself. Those are the nonprofits that are going to want you to serve on their board. Those are the organizations that need your volunteer help. You might be the person who leads the service project, and people in our community will know who you are. So please know this is a chance for you to get connected with our community based on everything you've learned and grown through the program. Next slide, and I think that's my last one. So I just want to encourage you, if you are someone who is looking to grow an integrity, vision, a positive attitude, you've got to have a sense of humor. In LGS, we laugh a lot. So please bring a sense of humor. We need a solid communicator, and we're looking for people to be inspirational. So if those fit you, we would love to have you apply for LGS, and I look forward to working with you throughout the program. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about what I get to do in this amazing leadership program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Eileen. That was wonderful. As you can tell, we have a great, robust leadership program that's part of Leadership Grand Strand. And it wasn't always that way. It's something that we've developed over the years. Really, to be honest with you, when I first started, we only did leadership as part of, we did some things at the retreat, we did some things on the final day. But over the years, we realized that we really needed to dive more into that. And we were so fortunate that Eileen came into our lives and that we've been able to have her lead us through that process. So thank you, Eileen. Appreciate that. If you will go to the next slide. One of the things that you hear a lot about with LGS, and you've heard us talk about getting involved in the community, are community service projects. And that is something that is a big part of the program. And this is something sometimes too, like Eileen was mentioning public speaking, sometimes people get a little scared on this one because you are required to do 75 project hours during the time that you go through the program. And that sounds like a lot, but I want you to remember, you're breaking this out over the course of 9 months. So it's not as hard as it sounds. And to be honest with you, you're going to find some things you connect with that are going to make it even easier because you're going to really enjoy what you're doing. Now, some of the ones that we're working on over the years, you'll see we've got Myrtle Beach downtown redevelopment. I don't know if a lot of you were able to see, but this particular year, we got a lot of great publicity, which was wonderful for the program, as well as for downtown redevelopment. Our crew put together a mural on the side of the Gay Dolphin for people to come and take selfies and just express their enjoyment for being in Myrtle Beach. And a lot of that was about really showing that we as a group came together and could do something to help beautify our community and get involved, do something. The class before, class 40, had actually taken a bathroom area and has painted it's absolutely beautiful and fun. I mean, it's honestly the most fun bathroom I've ever seen in my life. They put up lighting and they made it a very festive place because when people are coming to the beach again, the thought process was we want them to come and have this amazing experience. And I'll be honest with you, as a local, it's really nice for me too. I enjoy the fact that when I go there, it's this beautiful, clean place. It makes us very proud of our community. And really both the classes thought process was they want to show that we can all do a little something. We can all get in there. We can all be involved. And whether it's one set of bathrooms or one wall, you can make a difference in your community. You can be involved. And they've proven that. They've gone through the process too of learning, here's what we have to do. Here's where we have to go through the cab, as they call it, where you go and actually get the agreement that you can go and put this up and get the colors approved. So it was a teaching and learning process for them as well. But getting involved in the community is important. So that's one of the projects that we worked on. We also work on a project that's very near and dear to the hearts of us that have been involved with Leadership Grand Strand, and that's the Andebach Leadership Award Project. Andebach was our executive director up until her death, actually. She was amazing. She was a pioneering woman. She was one of those first women managers and leaders that was out there a long time before it was a very common thing. And so Anne was a very tough, neat lady. And what we do is it's the only award that Leadership Grand Strand gives out, and it's given out to an alumni who has really been out into and doing something in the community, being involved, giving back. It's amazing. We actually ask you as class members, you'll be broken into 4 groups. We ask you to find nominees who've been through the program, and then you'll do a presentation. We honor the folks who are nominated, as well as the person who is voted as the final winner, which is done through a selection committee through our Board of Regents. And it's an amazing process. I have many people tell me that this is one of their favorite parts of the program because you get this one-on-one time with an amazing person who has been out and has truly made a difference in the community, whatever that is for them, whether it's the Boys and Girls Home, whether it is, going out and being somebody who is feeding the homeless. It can be anything. Sometimes people are involved in multiple things. I frequently find as we go through this process, I have no idea when these people sleep because they're so involved in their careers. They're also out doing things in the community. But for you, what's really neat about it is you get this chance to have this one-on-one time with someone who can really influence you and really almost become like a mentor to you because you become so inspired by the work that they're doing. We've also worked with organizations like Habitat for Humanity, who of course are out doing wonderful things in our community and new directions. They again have been out and are making such an impact in our community, and so many positive stories of their lives they've been able to help and change. So what's really neat is you get connected in to some of these folks, to some of these organizations that might end up being the thing that you want to get more involved in, that really inspires you. And if nothing else, it's going to open your eyes to the needs of our community and things that are going on around us. And I think that's so important, because we frequently think we know everything that's going on. Until you actually get involved and dig into it, you'll be surprised at what is actually going on out there. And this is your chance to make a difference in that. So don't let the 75 hours scare you. Some of those are assigned hours. We'll say, hey, you need to spend 10 hours with Habitat for Humanity. And some of them are free hours. We know that some of you are already out there doing some great things. So we're going to give you some hours where you can actually count those. So if you happen to be out, teaching a Little League and that's your passion, okay, great. Well, you can get some hours for that. Maybe you're doing something, or you're involved with an organization and you want to get your class members involved. You're going to be encouraged to do that. We want y'all to work together on projects. So we'll be encouraging you to say, hey, if you're working with this group over here and you guys have a fundraiser or something coming up, invite your classmates to get involved. We want you guys to be doing this together. The more opportunities you have to spend some time doing things together, the greater your bonds will be in the long run, and you'll really enjoy it. Can I have the next slide? One of the nice things I'm so excited about is we have some great scholarship opportunities. Our first scholarship that we've had for the longest is actually named after, again, our founder, Bill Pritchard, and it is a scholarship fund that we get a lot of great donations in from the alumni themselves. And we give out actually several different scholarships. Usually these are partial scholarships or some portion of tuition that we'll actually pay for. You'll find these as you go into the application. You can actually click on these. If you are interested in getting a scholarship, you fill out the scholarship application and turn that in with your LGS application. Now, the newest scholarship we have this year is named after Benny Swans. And I don't know how many of you knew Benny, but he was just a wonderful force of nature. He was somebody that he made things happen. And we're so honored. And in fact, Eileen, this actually came out of, Eileen is the vice chair of our DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion group. Eileen, would you like to talk a little bit about your group and why y'all chose this scholarship and doing it for LGS?
Yeah, that'd be great. Our DEI Council is always looking for ways to connect and enhance our community opportunities. And we realized in LGS that if we truly wanted to build a diverse class, we had to put it out there. And we had talked about it, and then we had talked Benny Swans, and even Karen Worden, our CEO, had thought, oh, what a great idea. And then unfortunately he passed away, and it was like, wait a minute, we have to do this. His name, his legacy, like it was unanimous. All of us on DEI Council, that's who we hoped the Board of Regents, because it was up to the Board of Regents to really support that, and they voted on it, and it was unanimous. So we hope that you learn from the leaders like a Benny Swans, and that becomes kind of who you are. But we really thought to really enhance the diversity of LGS's class in his honor would be a great tribute. So please apply for this, or if you know of someone, especially if you know of someone maybe who otherwise could not afford to do this. I don't want money to ever be a reason why we have a great candidate who cannot be a part of our program. So please feel free to share this with anyone you know.
Yes, and again, these scholarship applications are on the website. And again, when you fill out your application, you're going to fill out the scholarship application as well and turn that in with your just regular LGS applications. What's nice too is the Benny Swan scholarship is a full scholarship. So the one person that's actually going to get that will actually get a completely, I don't want to say free ride because there's a lot of work to be done, but you will get your tuition paid for the year. The Bill Pritchard Scholarship, again, are usually partial scholarships. So again, I highly encourage you, again, to what Eileen said, we don't want you not to come into Leadership Grand Strand due to a financial situation. So these are some great opportunities for you where we've had people who literally, they're investing in the community, they're investing in you, and they put their money into these scholarship funds so you can get involved. So please do make sure you apply for those if that's something that you would like to have or need. Can I have the next slide, please? I mentioned earlier our Alumni Association. We just got through celebrating our 40th anniversary. Well, we celebrated it a year late because of COVID, but we were able to celebrate our 40th anniversary, and we're pretty proud of that. Again, I'd mentioned to you what's neat about the alumni is when you become a Leadership Grand Strand graduate, you now have this connection in with people that they also are graduates. They'll talk about their program, what they were doing the year they went through, something that you can talk about. And we get our alumni together at least twice a year so that you have a chance to network and get to know these other leaders in the community. Again, they're an absolutely amazing group. And I'd mentioned to you earlier the Andebach Leadership Award. It's something that we enjoy. It's one of our biggest events we do with our alumni, where we celebrate the winner of that award, as well as the other 3 nominees that came through the process. And it's a feel good. It's really neat to hear about the things that are out there. I find it very inspiring. It always makes me walk away saying there's more I can do. There's somewhere else I can put my skills and my love, because I see everything that these folks are doing. Can I have the next slide? Basically, I want to give you just a few before I wrap up and take any questions y'all have. Just a few things. Applications are available at leadershipgrandstrand.com. Easy to remember. A few requirements. You do have to have been a resident of either Horry or Georgetown County for a year. So keep that in mind. We're looking for you to have been here a year before we actually will start class. So if you got here June of last year, you're good to go. You can apply, but you do need to have been here for that length of time. And then we're looking for 3 letters of reference. Just a couple suggestions on that for you. One from your business is great. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's great when we see that a business supports the candidate. That's actually a very positive thing. The other 2 can be from anybody. They can be from community service organizations you've worked with. It may, perhaps depending on your age, maybe you've only been out of school a few years and you have a college professor who really can tell us a lot about what you were able to accomplish while you were in school. I've gotten them from pastors. I've gotten them from acquaintances, all kinds of different letters. But here's the big thing. When you are going out and asking for these letters, get letters from people that really want to tell us about you. We want to hear about you. We want to know who you are. And sometimes these letters give us a great insight that maybe we don't even get from your application. In fact, sometimes I find people in the letters tell me things that the graduate or the applicant forgot to actually put on their application because these people are so proud of you. It's much more impactful when we get a letter of reference that is extremely long and tells us about who you are than one that's a paragraph that just says, yeah, they're a great person. Sure, let them in the program. Not as impactful. And trust me, this can be a competitive process getting in. So you want to put your best foot forward. So a few suggestions I have, like Eileen's suggestions. When you're doing your application, again, think about who are doing those 3 letters of reference and turn in some really good ones. Make sure that as you're going through and you're filling out the application, write something. I frequently find that we've got people that maybe put 1 or 2 lines. And if you are a person who's very concise and you can be very strong in what you say in 2 lines, I'm okay with that. But most of us need to put a little bit more into it. So write out, tell us a little bit. If we're asking you about your leadership style, if we're asking you about, things in your past that you've done or things that inspired you, tell us a little something. We want to get to know you. And we're trying to, and the only way we really can at that point is to read the application. So please do keep in mind, we actually go through each and every application. We read them to the nth degree. We make notes on them. And those letters of reference in that application are important. So please do fill it out and put some thought and effort into it. And here's a nice little thing for you. If you ever have questions or you're not quite sure, what should I include? What shouldn't I include? Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I did this right. That's what I'm here for. You can contact me at LGS, and I'll put it up in just a second, at visitmyrtlebeach.com, and I will literally help you with your application so that you can put your best foot forward, so that I know that when you go to that selection committee and they're looking at your information, we've given you the best step up we can to hopefully get you into the program. I have only a few people that usually take me up on this, but I am your resource, and I have been through the selection process for 17 years. So I can really offer you some pretty good advice about what works and what doesn't. So feel free to utilize me as a great resource. That's what I'm here for. It's one of the fun things about this job, of getting people engaged and seeing what they're capable of and watching where they go as they leave us. If I could have the next slide, please. Oh, I love it. Dan is on here. Hey, Dan, how are you doing? I just got it. He just kind of came in and he mentioned that if you know a board of regent, someone that has been on our board of regents, reach out to them as well, because they can also help you and help you tailor your application and your reference letters. I put my information up here. This is me, LGS at visitmyrtlebeach.com. That's also my direct line that you can get a hold of me anytime. Again, I've got our website up. I would like, though, I don't know who all else we might have on, but Dan, if you want to share anything as a board of regent, we would love to hear from you too right now. So Dan, would you, I know I'm putting you on the spot a little, but would you like to add anything?
You might not be able, if Caroline has.
I don't want to put him on the spot and just remove him to the panelists. Dan, if you want to talk, just raise your hand and then I'll.
And Jessica's on the call too, so she might have something to share.
Great, yeah.
Okay, I'll allow Jessica. I'll allow you to talk.
Allow him to chat.
Can everyone hear me pretty good?
Yes.
Well, I'm actually on the Board of Regents with Dan and Diana as well. And this is definitely a great opportunity to build connections in the community, your opportunity to be able to have that voice. You know, we're all change makers, we're all leaders, and we all want the best for our community, but this is your opportunity to do it. As Diana said, we are an active board. So we're movers and shakers. So if you come on board, don't think you're going to be little Johnny sitting in the corner, because that's not what we're all about. And that's not who we are and what we do for our community. So anyone who is considering LGS, definitely come on board. As Diana said, Dan, myself, and whoever else is on the Board of Regents with us, take that opportunity and use us. Allow us to help you so you can be successful and be a leader here on the Grand Strand and for your community.
Well said, Miss Jessica.
We do have a question in the Q&A regarding references. Do you only want references from local people that would have worked with here, which we have worked here locally, or can they be from people that I've worked with in my previous locale?
Right, that's a great question. Actually, the references can be from anywhere. In fact, we prefer them to be with people who know you. So it's fine if it's not local. Doesn't need to be somebody who's here. It's fine if you're from, moved here from New York or wherever you might be from. Have the reference. What's really important is what the person says about you and how well they knew you. So feel free. Any reference is fine from any area. Great question, though.
Dan, if you do want to talk, I just allowed you to talk. Sorry, that's a weird way to put it, but that's how this Zoom works.
Yeah, no worries. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, just to kind of follow what Jessica said, it is a fantastic program. I was one of those individuals that was fairly new to the Grand Strand area when I got involved with Leadership Grand Strand. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it has literally changed my life and changed my outlook of what I call home now. The networking has been fantastic. The people that you interact with has been great. The leadership training takes you to the next level. So, you may come to this program from all walks of life. You may have some leadership background. You may have no leadership background. And this is your venue to kind of step into a leadership role. I can promise you, regardless of where you sit in that spectrum, the leadership training that you receive will take you to the next level. So there are so many benefits to the program. I just highly encourage you to consider applying. Reach out to Diana, reach out to Eileen, reach out to any Board of Regents member if you have questions. We'd love for you to participate.
Right. Thank you, Dan. Do we have any other questions or anything we can help you with today?
We did. Another question just came in. Do you need to have a college degree to be accepted into the program?
No, not at all. No, there's no education requirement to come into the program. We're just looking for people that want to get involved and who want to grow. That's what we're looking for.
And I want to echo, because Jessica brought up a really good point. And I don't say this to be mean or extremely blunt, but if this is something that you're like, I'm just going to come and I'm just going to sit, this is not for you. If you want to truly get involved and those first Thursdays are dedicated, you're spending time growing your class, then that's who we want. But I say that not to be a downer, but there's so many good people that apply for this program. So we really want the best of the best to keep the credibility of LGS up. So I say that because this program is so well known and has integrity. know that we're going to pick people based on that. So it wouldn't do you any good to be a part of a program if you weren't going to give it 100%. So just think about that, because you really will submerge yourself into this program. Warn your spouse, your significant other, because it is a full-time leadership program.
Well worth it. Any other good questions coming in? Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you giving us this time. And as always, you've gotten the contact information. Feel free anytime to reach out to us. We're really not just saying that. We really mean it. We're all here for you. We would love to talk to you more. In fact, we would probably talk to you ad nauseum about the program if you allow us to. So thank you so much for everything. And thank you to the Board of Regents who are here today, and to Eileen always for being here and supporting us. So thanks, everybody.